Record. Okay. I'm going to move my mat and stuff a little closer now because I can't be back here. Grab your mat, your bolster, any props you want to use. And we're going to start in a seated position. So if you can prop your hips up, you can get your knees down. Not that that's a requirement, but it's easier to sit with a tall spine if your knees are down. I couldn't do this one for the longest time, and it was not so much as ability as just figuring out the mechanics of it. Because I would always be like this, you know. And this with the knees up tends to make you round. I see Lori's mouth open. So having the knees down actually helps you to sit with a tall spine with less effort. And I'm all about the less effort, the least effort. So you can close your eyes or take a soft gaze. We'll check in, take a moment to kind of arrive into this practice after all the internet stuff, you know, as frustrating as that can be. So it's kind of, you want to slough that off. And then you're going to bring your awareness to your breath. We're going to think about breathing in through the nose and then letting the breath fill up the whole body. But we'll start with one piece at a time. So on the inhale, let your belly expand and your chest rise. So working in the front of the body. So the inhale fills up the belly and the chest, and the exhale lets everything soften. And now we're going to bring our awareness to the sides of the ribs. So the sides of the belly, the sides of the rib cage. And on the inhale, we're going to notice the ribs pressing out to the left and the right. So they're moving to the sides here. Feel the expansion on the inhale of your rib cage opening up to each side. And then the exhale, we just allow everything to soften. Now I feel well seated. This is a little bit harder to feel, at least for me. But on the next inhale, we're going to feel the back of our body expand with the inhale. And then soften on the exhale. And I think sometimes if you can just imagine it, that's good enough. Like it feels like you're doing it when you're imagining it. And maybe you are doing it. I don't know. And our next exhale or inhales are going to be all expansive. So we're moving into the front of the body, the sides of the body, and the back of the body all at once. So we're equally filling up the belly and the sides and the low back. And then the chest and the ribs and all of that expands on the inhale and softens on the exhale. expanding in all directions on the inhale, softening on the exhale. So come back to a normal breath. Again, observing how this makes you feel. So there's some concentrated breath and moving the breath around the torso. We're then going to tip the chin down towards its chest and lengthen the back of the neck. We'll then roll the right ear over towards the right shoulder, lengthening the left arm down towards the floor. I'm going to hold here for several breaths. If you want to add the weight of the right hand, you can. You're kind of pressing the head into the hand. So it's optional, not required, but if you want to. We'll then dip the chin down towards the chest and roll the left ear over towards the left shoulder, lengthening the right arm down towards the floor. With the option of using the weight of the left hand on the side of the head. And then come back to neutral. And now we're going to interlace the fingers and place them at the base of the neck. I'm going to move my ponytail out of the way. And the thumbs are pointed down. So you're going to press your thumbs kind of into your neck. Your fingers will support the base of your head, your base of your skull, and you're going to lift up as you slightly lean back. The shoulder blades are moving away from your head, so they're moving down your back. It kind of feels a little bit maybe like you're taking a back bend up at the thoracic spine. So your upper back bend. And then we'll release the hands, let them come back down. We'll place the right hand on the floor. The left arm will come up and over. So you can have your arm straight, and come over as far as you want, or you can bend your elbow and kind of rest your arm on your head. If you come over far enough, and you can bring your forearm to the floor, you can do that, or a block or some other kind of prop over here, you can do that. We'll be here for a little while, so if you can make yourself as comfortable as possible. This is one of those ones to me that I just, like when I'm in a class and the teacher teaches this, I'm like, can we just lay down now? Just a couple more breaths here. Think about lengthening the space between your hip crease and your left arm. So your whole left side of your rib cage is expanding or lengthening. And then you can start to bring your left hand back to the left side. Push yourself up slowly. And you're probably feeling that, huh? Sitting up tall, we're going to twist to the right. So your left hand comes to the outside of your right thigh, and you're rolling open your right shoulder, rolling it behind. So notice if the head of your shoulder is coming forward. If it's coming forward like this, you want to try to roll it back. So it's not just necessarily all about the twist, but kind of what your shoulder's doing as well. And then if you're clenching your jaw, you can release that. And then we'll untwist. So if your legs are crossed and you want to uncross and recross so that the other leg is in front or the other foot is in front, you can do that. Feels all weird now. Okay, we're going to take a side bend to the left now, or opposite of what you did before, depending on what you did before. The left hand places down, the right arm can come up and over. Again, you can have your arm straight, very active, or rest your arm down on your head. As your body starts to open, maybe you can start to go lower. Maybe bringing the left hand further away from your body. So this is going to be more of a yin-like practice, but we're not going to force anything. So we can allow it to be kind of somewhere along the continuum of restorative and yin. So yin, you're coming to your edge, or you're moving towards your edge, you're kind of heading in that direction, where restorative is you're kind of almost at the other end. You're not moving towards your edge. You're just kind of gently draped over your props. So find somewhere in between that works for you. Go deeper if you can or you want to. And then we'll slowly come all the way back up. We're going to twist to the left now. The outside, or the hand comes to the outside of the right hand comes to the outside of the left thigh. Moving the upper arm bone in the shoulder back. So it's not coming forward, it's back. And then we'll start to untwist. Interlace the fingers, push the palms away. And now this is going to be a little bit more yang-like, or a little bit faster moving. We're going to inhale the arms up. Take a side bend to one side. Not deep like you did for the earlier. And then to the other side. Back to center. And then you're going to round the back as you bring your hands forward. And then arch the back as you bring your hands back. Just do a couple more of those. Coming through center, go to the side. The other side. Round. Bringing the hands forward. Arch. And then you can unclasp the hands and bring your hands back down to the floor. We're going to bring our self into a tabletop position briefly. Kind of give your ankles there a break. You can take some ankle rolls here in our tabletop position. Picking the feet off the floor. Okay, we'll tuck the toes under and start to press back. So if you are like this, you can be like this. So depending on how tight all this feels, some people, this is about as far back as they can go because it hurts too much. So don't hurt yourself. Go where you can. Some people can bring their hips back. Some can come up. I can come up, but I can't stay here a super long time. I've gone to classes where the teacher's sitting like this, and I can sit, you know, thinking and meditating, and then you get to the point where you're like, holy crap, this hurts. And then you look at the teacher like, how are they sitting there like that? Aren't they on fire? So just go to what you can actually sit with for a little while. This one here, the counter pose for it always feels so good to me. So the ouchiness, the extra stretch here is all worth the counter pose to me. Take just a couple more breaths here. Mary looks so zen right now. Okay, we'll come forward onto the hands and knees, and then you can tap the tops of the feet. Like, see, this is why I think this part's so good. All right. When you're done doing that, we're going to bring the right foot forward. So you can be in a runner's lunge type here, where your legs are kind of on train tracks. Your front foot, your heel is directly underneath your knee. And then if your left knee is ouchy, you can place a blanket underneath it, your bolster underneath it, a block underneath your shin. Sometimes if you can get in front of your knee, so I'll show you kind of what that looks like. So in front of your knee, kind of where you could actually pick your knee up or your foot up. So, but not everybody can kind of get in front of that knee. Okay, so you can stay here. This is option number one. Option number two is to come up. You can push your thigh away. You could rest on it if you wanted. You could bring your hands to the inside of the foot. You'd have to kind of walk the right leg out to the right slightly. You can wing the knee out. So you're flexing the right foot and you're rolling out to the outside of the foot. But if you're flexing your foot, your ankle should stay, your foot and ankle should stay in the same line. So you're not just rounding through the outer ankle. You can be here, or you can start to lower down even more. Go shut this door back here. It's gonna slam. And so you can always move into a deeper variation, or if you find that you went too deep, you can come out, move into another variation. Experiment. Okay, we're gonna take a brief counter pose. We'll bring the hips back, straighten the right leg. And we're gonna do this one again, so don't worry about kind of like getting into this one too much. We're gonna bend back into that right knee. This time we're gonna place our right hand on our right thigh and roll our right shoulder open. So we're twisting our torso, our chest, towards our right leg. The closed twist. We're not gonna hang out here long, just 2 more breaths. We'll untwist here and we'll walk our hands back, hips back, and you can fold forward over the straight right leg, foot flexed, or you can sit all the way back into a half hero. Half hero is kind of goes better with a cushion or a block under one hip. So it would be your right hip. To keep you balanced. If not, you can do the half split. It helps to kind of have blocks for stability, and then you can also hinge forward if you want. Right foot is flexed. Now, if you're feeling pulling in the low back, you might want to adjust your position. So we're going to start to come out. The easiest way for me is to lean to the left and bring that right leg behind me. But if that doesn't work for you, then, you know, see if you can figure out a way that works a little bit better for you. We'll move into the left leg being forward. We're going to step that left foot forward. Find that comfy position for your right knee. The left ankle is directly below the left knee. And then whatever variation you took on the first side, maybe you want to try that one on the second side, or maybe you want to try a different variation. Now, you kind of want it to be fairly similar to the first side, but if your body is not symmetrical and one side doesn't work that way, do what you can. Do one that makes you maybe have the same sensation as the first side. Similar sensation. Oftentimes, if we're clenching our jaw or stiffening up somewhere else or tightening up, it's because we've gone too deep. So maybe you evaluate that, look around different parts of the body, see if you can make it a little bit more accommodating, less intense. See if you can relax the jaw, relax those body parts. We'll start to bring that left knee in towards the center a little bit as we start to draw our hips back, moving into this brief counter pose of a half split. And then again, bending forward into that front knee. This time our left hand is on the left thigh and you're rotating the torso so that it's facing the left. Thank goodness for that breeze out there today. We'll untwist, and we're gonna walk the hips back again, taking our half split or half hero on this side. So the left leg is now straight. You can stay upright or you can hinge forward. Funny, my pants are like lint collectors at this point. I look like Chewbacca from the waist down. Lint and dog hair. So if I was truly in my yoga practice, I wouldn't even notice the dog hair, maybe. So we can start to lean to the right and bring that left leg around behind again. And we'll move into our next pose on our bellies here for baby crocodile or a back bend variation. So baby crocodile, the elbows are wide and your forehead rests down on your hands. Your hands are one on top of the other. One of the benefits to that one is you can actually start to massage the middle of the forehead on your hands. So you can kind of rock side to side, your forehead on your hands. So if you take this position, think about getting your shoulders down, your shoulder blades resting on your back, not lifting up towards your ears. And that the back of your neck is long, so it's not crunched up. Almost like your chin is tucked in a little bit and not reaching towards the floor. Now, if you want to make this a little bit deeper, you can bring your hands out in front with your arms extended out in front of you. Kind of rest your chin down. You want to make it more intense. You start to draw your elbows back towards your body. Eventually, maybe having the elbows directly underneath the shoulders. So we don't want them behind the shoulders because that turns it into more of a cobra pose. And that's a little bit more effort than we want to. We want to allow our back to feel this, not necessarily have to hold ourselves into the position. And no matter what you do to try to keep your neck, the back of your neck long. Maybe kind of keeping the tongue. Yeah, keep your tongue tucked in too, but your chin. your chin tucked in. Okay, we'll start to, if you're up, we're gonna start to lower down. You can rock your hips side to side. We'll eventually bring the right knee up alongside the body. Tend to be my go-to counter pose after any kind of back bend. So we're bringing the right knee towards the right elbow or vice versa. And then you can rest your head back down, kind of like you did for baby crocodile. This is another opportunity to notice the all expansive breath, kind of sending the breath in all directions on the inhale. We'll start to bring that right leg back to meet the left. Move your upper body back into the center. And so you can do baby crocodile again. You can move up into seal where the arms are extended, pressing your hands into the floor or somewhere in between. Another variation, a little accessible variation to add a little bit of intensity is to put the bolster underneath your feet so that your feet are a little bit lifted. Another variation is to bend your knees so that your feet are in the air. taking whatever variation you want. You can also put your elbows up on blocks or on a bolster, or lots of choices. And then we're keeping the back of the neck long again. With the breeze and I can hear my wind chimes and some birds, and uh, it's very peaceful, and like I could just lay down and go to sleep. So, not gonna do that though. I get quiet. If I get really quiet, I'm not asleep. Actually, something's going on with the chickens directly in front of me because they're all like in a little huddle. I think somebody found a bug because they get very excited over bugs. So where my tablet is, it's a little step or like a tiny little porch. And so it's kind of like chin level to the chickens. So they walk by and they're kind of like looking, just their beak and their eyeballs above the step there. So it looks kind of funny. You just see this little like kind of thing. and then they just go back down and like take off. It'll be a little bit longer here, but you can always come out of it sooner or go to a more intense or less intense variation. And then we'll lower the feet. And if you have them raised, you can lower your upper body. We're going to bring the left knee up towards the left. You can bring your left elbow towards the left knee, lower your head back down. Coming back to that all expansive breath. The inhale pressing and expanding in all directions. Just two more big breaths here on this side. We'll bring the left leg down to meet the right. Bring your upper body back to center. You can rock your hips side to side. We're going to move into one of two poses. You get to pick. So we're going to have the knees wide. And so it's either a full frog or a tadpole. So tadpole is basically child's pose with the knees really wide and the big toes together. You can use, if you have a bolster or something, it's kind of nice to lay down on it like this. Now, frog, full frog, is how we had our legs just in the previous pose, but having both of them like that. So your knees are as wide as they can be. And the more your hips are in line with your knees, so mine are here, the more intense it's going to be. Now, if I move my hips forward, it's going to be less intense. So you find what works for you. You can use a bolster. You could use nothing. It's kind of like a straddle. And if you want your upper body supported, you can lay on something. Now, if your body opens up and you can go deeper, the knees come further apart, the feet come wider. Typically, if you're in frog, your shins are parallel with each other instead of the big toes coming towards each other. Okay, we're gonna start to move out of this pose. So if you are in frog, um, for me, the easiest way to come out of it is to bring the big toes together and push myself, my upper body back. So the knees are wide. And then hopefully you have a bolster or you can get one. And we're going to do a belly squish over the bolster. So the legs are together, and then you're gonna come forward over the bolster. If you have a block or a pillow handy that you might want that, you're gonna come forward and lay your torso pretty much from your hips up on the bolster, and you can use the block to support your forehead. Now, if you want to work on the shoulders here, you can cross the arms and then lower down, but totally optional. And halfway through, we'll switch. So. If your arms are crossed, you're going to cross the other arm in front. Tail will start to come out. Uncross the arms, rock your hips side to side. Anything you need to do here. And we'll move any props out of the way. And we're going to lay back down on our bellies here. Bring our right arm out to the right. Bring our right arm out to the right, and then we're going to roll back on that right arm. So if you want more intensity, you would have your arm at a right angle. So your elbow is bent. That's very intense, at least for me. Otherwise, the arm is straight out at from your side, and then you roll back. You can use your left leg as a kickstand here. Bring it behind you, set it on the floor. Your left hand can be pressing into the floor to hold your self back a little bit. We won't stay here a super long time, probably just like a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes tops. We'll roll back onto our bellies. We're going to move over towards the left side of our mat. The left arm will be extended out to the left. And then we'll roll back onto our left arm. Okay, we'll start to roll back onto our bellies. And then eventually we'll end up on our back. So we'll roll all the way over, end up on our backs here. And our knees are bent, feet are on the floor. And we're going to bring our hips to the right and let our knees fall to the left. For a supine twist, the arms can go out to a T or overhead. The legs can be crossed the knee. You can reach down and with your left hand and pull your right thigh down towards the floor. You can prop your knees up. The possibilities are pretty pretty unlimited, I would say. Okay, we'll bring our knees back into the center, hips back into the center, and we'll hug the knees in towards the chest and rock side to side. You can circle the knees. As always, bring the knees to the other side, or other direction rather. And then when you're ready, you can set your feet on the floor. You bring your hips to the left, let your knees fall to the right. Taking your supine twist to the left. We'll start to untwist here, bringing the hips back into the center, bring your knees back to center. You can hug your knees in towards your chest, rock side to side, circle, all of the things. Let me give two options here. You can use a block or a bolster. We're going to do a supported bridge. So the option here is to have your knees bent and then, or have your legs start to straighten them so that your heels are on the floor. And you can't see me because there is an ottoman in your way, but so you have a couple of choices there. The legs out long, kind of open up the hip flexors, but it's a little bit more intense on the lower back. The knees bent with the feet on the floor kind of takes the pressure off the low back. So figure out what works best for you at this point. And play around with either one, maybe even play around with straightening one leg, doing a few breaths, and then switching sides. Maybe one more minute here if you want, or you can do longer. And after about a minute, we'll extend the legs up towards the ceiling. It's funny, those chickens, they'll like kind of go after each other and chase each other around every once in a while. And you swear to God, somebody, it's like a massacre out there. They're very dramatic ladies. If you want to extend the legs up towards the ceiling or place them on a chair or against the wall. I love when I see legs in the air or just feet. Cracks me up. Like when I can't see really anything else of the person and just like feet. And you can come down whenever you want, but we're gonna hold this one a little bit longer, but you can always come down into bridge or flat on the floor, or however you want to, any other poses you want to slip in there. And then when you are ready to come down, bend either both knees or bend one and then the other. Set one foot down at a time. Pick the hips up, remove the block, and then lower the hips back down. So you can windshield wiper the knees. Take any kind of movements that you want. So we're going to move into either our final relaxation pose or a heart opener, or your heart opener can be your final relaxation pose. You can put a bolster underneath behind the knees. That's not necessarily a heart opener, but just kind of a relaxing, it's good on the back, kind of takes the arch out of the low back, which feels nice, especially if you're tight, like that. If you want to place it behind your back, that would create more of a heart opener. Or take any variation of any kind of pose or anything that you want to do to be the most comfortable as that you possibly can be. You can do a little body scan or kind of an inventory of body parts and notice how each one feels. Maybe see if you can allow it to soften a little bit more. You can start at the toes. Bring your awareness to the toes. You can wiggle the toes or flex or squeeze the toes in towards each other, towards the foot, kind of hollowing out the bottom of the foot, and then release. I'm going to flex the foot so that the toes are coming back towards the shins, and then release. You can bend the knees, drawing the heels up towards the seat bones, and then release. Just squeeze the glutes and release. You're going to engage the core as if you're going to do a sit-up. And if you want to do a sit-up or a partial crunch, you can do that just to kind of bring awareness to that spot. And then lower back down. You can bring your awareness to your fingertips. You can clench the hands, open the fingers, open the hands, and then relax. Again, you can make a fist, and you're going to curl the palms of the hands towards your forearms, and then release. Do a bit of a bicep curl, and then release. And squeeze your shoulder blades towards each other, and then release. We'll bring the shoulders up towards the ears, and then release. Bring the shoulders up off the floor towards the ceiling, and release. And then if you want to tuck your shoulder blades back underneath you, you can do that. I'm going to clench the face so that everything moves in towards the nose. You just sucked on a lemon. And then release. And then if you want to, you can squeeze everything tight and soften. Let everything go. And for the next 3 minutes or so, we're going to lay as still as possible. And if your mind starts to wander on chores or different things that aren't maybe pertaining to this practice, bring your awareness to your breath. Notice the rise and fall of your abdomen and your chest. We'll bring our awareness again to our fingers and toes. We'll start to wiggle them. Start to gently rock the head from side to side. And if you want to extend the arms and legs, take a big stretch, you can. And then we're eventually going to roll over onto our sides and slowly push ourselves up to a seated position. Sitting up tall again. And take a moment to notice how you feel now. Hopefully you feel better. Maybe you feel no different. Sometimes change takes a little while before you notice it. And then we'll bring our hands to our hearts. We'll thank ourselves for practicing together this early evening. May we all feel loved, grateful, and connected. And may we have the strength and courage to overcome all obstacles before us. From my heart to your heart, peace and namaste. And remember to drink lots of water.